Hey, what's up, folks? I'm gonna show you a project I'm working on today out in the shop. It's Friday, June 5th, I believe. Kind of overcast today, so not out riding, but I got a little lawnmower project I'm working on, so I figured I would film this and show you guys. So this is my bad boy 54-inch Magnum Zero Turn radius lawnmower. Bought this thing about 5 minutes after we moved down to this property we're on now, because I've got a lot of grass to cut, and it usually takes about 45 minutes with the mower. I've done it by hand, or not by hand, but I did it with a little 22-inch push mower one time, and it took like 4 hours before I even started weed eating. So took some of the proceeds from our previous house sale and went and picked up this at Tractor Supply. It's got about 69 or 70 hours on it, and I've had it. This is my 6th year cutting grass down here. 6th year we've been in the house, so it kind of shows you how much time is saved if you think about 4 hours per cutting with a push mower. But one of the things I wanted to improve on it was put a little lighting on here, because I work about an hour away from home, and usually my days start pretty early and end pretty late, so it's usually 7 o'clock or later when I get home in the afternoon. And if I jump on this thing, I can usually get the grass cut right before dark, but a lot of times, depending on when I start, it gets dark on me. So what I decided to do is put some lights on the front of this thing and get it all geared up for that, where I don't have to worry about running out of sunlight. So I'll show you what I bought here. These are just some parts I got off eBay. I'll put the link in the excuse me, I think I got them on Amazon. I'll put the links in the description. But essentially, this is a light bar kit. I forget the manufacturer, but it comes with a wiring harness. It's got the brackets to mount the lights. And then here's the actual lights. I'm working one-handed here. These had a real good review on Amazon. I forget what the lumens is. They're LED, so shouldn't pull much current, but I think they're going to look okay. So all that came in the kit: 2 lights, wiring harness, fuses, relay, etc. And this other thing I bought here was the actual mounts to go on the bad boy. Again, I've got one hand here, so sorry, this is kind of sloppy. But the idea is, here you have these. They look like they're 3D printed. I'm not exactly sure. But the idea is they kind of go around the stem for your front wheels there, the bearing. I guess you call that the bearing shaft. I'm not exactly sure what the description is, but you mount them here, and then you can mount your lights to that and run your wiring harness back to the battery. So that's what we're doing today. I think it'll be a fun little project. I just figured I'd film it to have something to put up on the channel. So let's get started. Okay, so before we get started, I guess I'll just do a little better breakdown of the parts I got here. I said I wasn't sure what the brand was. It looks like Nilight, N-I-L-I-G-H-T, is the manufacturer of these LED lights. So there's the lights. This is what comes in the kit. Obviously, you got 2 lights, 2 mounting brackets, associated hardware, some little electrical connections there, and this wiring harness. So that is everything that comes in the lighting kit. And then I bought these separately. These are the mounts that I just showed you that mount on the bearing swivel, or the bearing housing for the front wheels. So that's all the components I got. Looks like everything's here. The wiring harness is nice, and it's actually got a relay already in it. So that'll be easy to hook power up using that relay. So I think the first thing we're going to do is get the lights mounted, and then figure out how we're going to run the wiring harness. And that'll be the starting point. Okay, so I got it all mocked up here. You can kind of see how those are on. I had to take the bolt out of the bracket here that goes around the bearing housing, just to stretch it enough to get it on there. But anyway, here's what I decided to do. So I'm going to mount this like this. It just slides over the top. You got to pry it apart a little bit. And then, of course, you can, play with the mounting however you want to. I think what I've decided to do is to, let's see here. I think I'm going to go something like this. Yeah, like that. So I'm going to tighten it up in that location. But I'll show you why I chose to do this method. If you look at it, looking straight down. Of course, I got to put the bolt in there. I got to tighten all this up, but I'm kind of centered on my light mount right there. You know, I'll get that pretty centered. And I kind of mounted it like this because if you look straight down, I didn't want the light sticking out any further, you know, than the wheel. This is going to be the way the wheel is normally tracking. So this way it's even with this. And if we happen to run into anything or make contact, I want the brunt of the contact to be, you know, here on the wheel and not on the light itself. So if you're looking straight down, it's kind of hard to tell, but the wheel does stick out maybe an inch or two further than the light. So I think that's the mounting I'm going to go with on both sides. And then the wiring harness, you know, we'll route it back to the, you know, engine area where the battery is. So there's a mock-up. I'll go get the other one and get it mounted, getting all this stuff, get all this hardware tightened up. Okay, well here's the final mounting location. Finally got that like we want it. So as you can see, the light is just slightly behind the tire on both sides. I did find out that these are standard, so it takes a 7/16 wrench for these, 14 millimeter for the light bracket, and then on the bottom here it was a 13 millimeter, I believe, for that. So as usual, half standard, half metric. But anyway, we got the lights mounted, so kind of like the way it looks, not going to impact anything. And the one thing I wish I could have done is like on this one, you know, the wiring harness comes out of the, I guess that'd be if you're looking at it from the rear, the left side on both lights, and there's no way to flip it where you could put this mount up here and have the you know, wiring harness going towards the inside. Not a big deal, we'll just fold it back, but it might have been a little cleaner. But the lights are identical, so you know, it'd been nice if we could have flipped that and had the wiring harness going the other way. But that's probably just me being anal with wiring, because back in my previous life I did a bunch of electrical work. So anyway, time to move on to the wiring harness, and we'll start setting that up and see how that goes. Okay, so one of the steps I didn't film here, but you have to do, is put the little electrical connectors on the lights here. So I didn't film it, but I've already got those mounted for the wiring harness. I had to put them on both sides. Pretty simple task. I just used my little crimping pliers. Just use a little crimper right there to, you know, squeeze them on, if you will. Pretty simple task, but I did not film that, so just wanted to mention that in the how-to guide here. Okay, so now I'm mocking up how I'm going to run the wiring harness now that I've got the lights mounted and the connectors installed. So with the wiring harness, you can see this will go to this light. This will go to this light. I'm going to run this underneath somehow, following this frame strut right here. I got the seat up, but obviously this is where all the action is. So basically got to run power to the battery. That's a no-brainer. It's got this relay I got to mount somewhere. I'm thinking I'm going to try to just pull that screw right there that this little electrical connector's on, and try to mount it right there. That's what I'm going to try to do. And then got the on-off switch here. So this is the panel on the bad boy. You can see the throttle linkage is right there. That's all bolted in, so I really don't want to take that apart if I don't have to. So I'm going to try to weave this up underneath, and if there's room I could pop a hole in here somewhere. But what I'm going to try to do first is this blackout plate, or blank out plate right here, is slightly wider than the diameter of this switch. So I'm going to see if I can just take a stepper bit, pop a hole in there, and then mount that right there for a clean look right next to the PTO. So anyway, yeah, more to come on that, but I'm going to get busy with this wiring harness, and then we'll check back after I get it mounted. I'll show you how I routed everything, and hopefully it'll be pretty clean. That's always fun when you're adding electrical stuff. It never looks stock, but we'll try to keep it as factory looking as we can. All right, so here's what the final product looks like. Got the lights mounted, as you can see. Got the wiring harness run. So we'll take a look at that. I wouldn't consider this my cleanest work by any means, but it's probably about as clean as you can get with a prefab wire harness. I mean, the way to do it correct is just make your own harness and have everything cut to length so you don't have all the excess slack and all that. So a couple things different. I'll show you how we ended up in here and then what I did. So you can see there's the connection, fuses, there's the bundle. Like I said, it's a lot of extra wire. The switch actually turned out pretty good. I took this knockout plate out, drilled it with a stepper bit and put that in there. It actually worked pretty good. One of the things I did do differently than my previous description, I was going to come through here and over, but then I noticed this the bar for the deck is in there, so I didn't want to take a chance on anything getting caught in there. So I came underneath. Probably going to be hard to see, but I don't even know if you can see that, but I came through underneath and found a hole, came through here with the wiring harness bundle, and again, I just kind of, bundled everything up where it wouldn't, get loose or anything. Again, I was real happy with the way the switch worked out right there. Kind of looks factory on the control panel. One thing I did have to change, I think I said earlier I was going to mount the relay right here using that screw, but I couldn't get to the nut on the back and it wouldn't come loose, so I kind of changed a little bit and I ended up mounting the relay, kind of hard to see under this bundle, but I mounted it to the rod that holds the battery in place. There's two rods, wing nut on that one. I did take the wing nut off and just put a standard 1/4 nut on there where I could tighten it up. But yeah, I mounted the relay there, and like I said, I bundled everything here where it can't come back and get caught in the seat spring. But I think it's about as neat as it's going to get, like I said, with that pre-made wiring harness. So but with that, yeah, we got light, nice little touch there. The switch has a indicator on it. I'm not sure how bright these things are. It's still broad daylight out here, so we'll go check them out tonight. They look good, look like they got a good pattern on them, but again, it's middle of the afternoon here in Texas in June, so we'll check it out tonight, go outside, go for a ride. Maybe I'll try to film some of that as a conclusion. But anyway, fun little project, didn't take too long. Again, I'll put all the parts in the I'll put the links to the parts there. I think I got everything on Amazon, pretty sure I did, but I'll check and put that in there. And then just for a rundown of everything that was used on this job, these are all the tools I use. So, pretty common hand tools, a little bit of electrical stuff, but crimping pliers, use those to put the connectors on the lights. Wire cutters just for cutting the wire ties around the harness with the wire ties. There's a little wire tie puller, I guess you'd call it. Screwdriver to pry that knockout plate in. Also, when I mounted the lights, I used my tape measure to center them, use the level to get the lights level. Electrical tape for the connectors, I just kind of taped over all that instead of putting shrink wrap on it. And then 14 millimeter wrench, 13 millimeter wrench for the lights, and then 7/16 for the mounts, and also got a 7/16 socket and extension for putting that, mounting the relay on the battery in there. And then I guess the other thing I forgot to mention, I used my big stepper bit and drill for the to put the hole in the knockout plate. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'll put the links and everything in the description, and we'll see how this thing works. I got to get out tonight, and I'm gonna fire it up and see what it looks like at night. And again, I'll probably try to roll some of that footage to conclude this thing. But so far, so good. Happy with the way it turned out, and all good. So I guess we'll just wait on the evening to get here where we can go check out and see how much light we have. Hey folks, it's now about 9 o'clock p.m. Came out here to the garage. We want to fire up the lawnmower with the new lights on and see what kind of lighting pattern we got. So I was waiting on my security light to cut off. It always triggers when I walk out of the carport over there, but got tired of waiting, so I went ahead and fired up. So I'm going to crank the lawnmower up here and take a run down to the end of the yard where it's kind of dark straight ahead, and we'll see what these lights look like. I'm filming with one hand. I don't have a headset, so I'm just hand holding the GoPro, so I apologize if it gets kind of wonky here. But let me try to crank everything up here, and we'll see how it goes.
Already. All right. Again, sorry for the camera holding. I'm steering here with the pucks and dealing with one hand, so let's see how it goes. Pretty nice so far. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm digging this. I can definitely cut some grass with these lights on. Yeah, this is badass. Again, trying to steer this thing with one hand, and it usually takes two, but yeah, this is pretty nice, man. These lights are nice. I was wondering how bright they were going to be out here, but I'm totally happy because got a good pattern, you know, right in front of me. I can obviously see. Cut this down, idle down where you can hear me. I can definitely see everything right in front of me. That's going to be awesome. So let me turn it around. We'll get another view. Makes a hell of a difference, doesn't it? That's crazy. All right, lights on. Let's go back. Yeah, I'm digging this. This was a good investment. I forget how much I got in it. I'll have to look back at the pricing, but I think it was less than $100. So, go take a look in the front yard here. Yeah, man, I'm going to be on night patrol with this thing. This is awesome. Now I can get out here and don't have to worry about running out of daylight anymore. I'm sure the neighbors are like, why in the hell is he on this mower at 9 o'clock at night? Well, we got a test, you know. Lights on, lights off. And again, like I said, that's a nice little touch there with the lid indicator on the button. Of course, you can't see it till you cut them on, but view up the driveway of death. Lights off, lights on. Yeah, no comparison really. So that's awesome. Pretty bright. I'm digging that. All right, well, very cool. Very happy with the way that turned out. I guess I'm going to sign off now. I'm going to cut the lights on the shop and the outdoor floodlights where I can see what I'm doing and get this thing pulled back in the garage. But yeah, thanks for watching today. Like I said, I'll put all the parts list and the links in the description. So if you guys want to do something like this, you'll know, you know, where to find all this stuff. And I guess the only thing now is kind of do some longevity testing, see how long it lasts. Because obviously these things won't be getting used every time I cut the yard, just when I get home after work and want to get done in the evening. So anyway, yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you on the next project.